Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. Good morning. It's early January of 2022, getting started on a new year, and I thought it would be appropriate for me to address staging into your Forex trading life. Not staging into Forex trades, but how you stage your trading into your life. You know, staging, the mechanics of staging in staging lots, in other words, adding to a position as it moves forward, is not a trivial thing. There are a lot of considerations that you need to take in making the decisions as to how to break the lots up. Do you go? Do you stage 3, 2, and 1? Do you stage 1, 2, and 3? What do you do? Do you go stage at 5 pip intervals, 50 pip intervals, or what do you do? So you have all these complications. They become very simple once you have some trading metrics behind you. This video isn't about that particular thing right now, but I'm just trying to show you that whether you've staged or not, I mean, if you have less than a year's trading, or if you have less than a couple of 300 trades, you probably shouldn't be staging lots at all, because you haven't perfected your craft yet. You don't have the experience yet in order to make those decisions. And though a mentor could help you with that, it's not something that a mentor would do or should do with a beginner student, because you're just not ready for that. You need to really understand some fundamentals first. I mean, could you learn how to play a simple tune on the piano without really being able to read music? Somebody just show you how to put your fingers there? Well, yeah, sure. So you could play that one song. That doesn't mean you're a musician. It certainly doesn't mean that you can play piano. It certainly doesn't mean that you understand piano playing at all. You've just monkeyed out some of the movements. And so staging is one of those things similar to that. So how do you stage Forex trading into your life? What do I mean by that? It's a process of starting out from scratch. And listen, I'm not talking about a beginner here. I can't help a beginner, because you wouldn't believe me anyway, because you haven't been beat up enough. My suggestions here for staging into your life, staging trading into your life, is whether you're beginning, because I'll have a lot of beginners that watch my channel, or whether you're a more advanced trader with a couple of years behind you, or several hundred trades, or maybe you've been trading for a while, and you're either watching this video for entertainment, or you're watching it because you're not having the results that you feel that you should be, and you think that I make some sense. How are you staging your trading into your life? You know, if I start somebody out from a raw beginner, or if I start working with somebody that's a multimillionaire that's been trading for 2 years and they're looking for my help, we all start at the same point, trading one mini lot. I've been involved in martial arts and karate since 1968, well over 50 years. And anyone who would come into my club, the first thing that happened after they joined my karate program was I'd hand them a broom and show them how to sweep the floor. Because that's part of the discipline of martial arts, is to follow directions and use what you learn as a building block to move on to the next thing. And if you think you're too good to sweep my floor, you hit the door. In trading, because that forms a basis. I'm the teacher, I'm the instructor, this is what I want you to do. If you're unwilling to do that simple thing, then you're certainly not going to listen to me when I give you life-saving advice. And that's why if I start somebody out in their trading journey, we start out equal. I don't care who you are, where you come from. Don't make any difference to me. We're going to start at the same point. And there's a lot of preliminary stuff that goes before that, structural stuff, what we call the what of trading, and then the how you do things. But the real trading comes with that third question of when. And so that's the thrust of all of my teaching. I have a course that's broken into 3 courses. It's over 400 pages. Foundations, principles, and process-oriented trading. Those are the 3 courses that are in there. And each one of them, although they're progressive in nature, each one of them begins, you're trading a single mini lot, $1,000 account, dollar a point. Because I teach in an iterative manner. So we always go back to our foundation. We always go back to our basis. Because when you get up into the real complex problem-solving issues within the life cycle of a currency trade, which is your entry analysis, your position management, and your exit methodology, when you get up in doing all that complex stuff, if you don't have a good solid base of understanding of not only the Forex market, but of yourself, you're not going to have much success. So whether you listen to me or not, as far as training, hear this. Whether you're beginning in your trading or you're experienced, start over again and stage into your life this thing called trading. Don't sit there and study for 20 hours a day and start simulating accounting for 4 hours a day and drawing, pictures and graphs and circles on the back of each one, explaining what each one is to be used as evidence against us. If any of you are old enough to remember the Arlo Guthrie song. You have to have a base. Even if you think you have a base, trust me, you don't. I've got a degree in physics. I came out of a 33-year career as a senior software engineer designing complex internet-based enterprise business applications and the martial arts, 40 years as a real estate investor. I thought I understood that. I thought I went back and I thought I did that because I studied. The problem was I studied the wrong things by people who don't know how to teach. You can learn currency trading by reading a dictionary on currency trading words. And that's how most people teach, because they really don't know what they're doing. They may be able to trade, but they really don't know what they're doing. If you can't explain what you're doing in 25 words or less in each particular component part of the trading life cycle, position life cycle, you don't know what you're doing. You're doing something on gut instinct. Now, there's some people that can get away with that. They're really good. Keats, as a poet, is born to be a poet. Someone like John Goodwin, the actor, might not have been born to be an actor. He had to work so hard in order to develop the skills that he had so that he was recognized. And so there are very few traders out there that are purporting how easy this is, that can really explain it, because they really didn't go through the steps necessary to learn what you need to learn as a retail trader. And you certainly can't learn this stuff, particularly day trading, from somebody who's been a bank trader, because they learned totally different methodologies for totally different purposes. So if you want to be a retail trader, if you want to work at a hedge fund or you want to work at a bank, then you go work at a bank. I'll get a job at a hedge fund, or get your economics degree and do some trading on the side to show that you have some ability, and go work for those folks. But if you're going to be a retail trader, a personal trader for your own personal account, you're going to be doing it completely differently than a lot of the people that you see in the videos out there that either got fortunate that they picked up the flow of all this stuff, or they were just naturally born to it. For the most part, we're going to have to work at something. We're going to have to study something in order to have that progression of learning and development. The problem, particularly in the Forex market, because it's so hot and everybody's doing it, there's all these books that are written in courses and talking heads like myself on the videos, and there's so much information out there that it's very difficult to filter out the background information from the real nodes of stuff that you really need to know. And that's what I mean by staging into the trading. There's some preliminary information, obviously, that you need, you know, what a pip is and how you size your bank and how to run your trading platform and stuff like that. The evils of crossover moving average systems and stochastics and Bollinger Bands and foolish indicators like that. You need to understand that basic, but not in any depth. You just need to know what it is. You don't need to know how to use it or anything. Because until you have a need for some of that stuff, learning it too soon will be counterproductive, because then your brain is just all plugged up. It's like having 15 shirts and 15 pairs of pants. You get up in the morning, you're trying to figure out what color combination and size combination and all that stuff that you want to wear. If you just have one shirt and one pair of pants, that even wouldn't even be a decision process. It would be such a confident process. You just put your clothes on and then go do something else. But if you clutter your mind up with too much stuff, all the crap that these people are trying to teach you, you're not going to have any success. I have quite a few students that don't like me, that don't like my methodology of training. And they go off and they do their own thing and they lose their money, and and that's fine. I don't care. But I understand the educational process. I understand how you've got to stage in trading information into your life so that it becomes repetitive, consistent, and profitable. And each time you are successful at that one little thing that you're working on, you move to the next thing. There's no reason for you to learn what a moving average crossover system is until you run into a situation where you understand what a moving average is by looking at it and using it on your chart and say, hey, I noticed that when this short moving average crosses this one, price starts to go up, and then when it goes the other way, price starts to go down. Well, what's this called? And then you go do some investigation. You think, I found the Holy Grail. And you try to trade it, and you get chopped up and lose all your money. Because it doesn't work. I can get a computer simulation, and I've written thousands and thousands of lines of computer simulation over the major indicators and all kinds of convoluted combinations of them, and doing best and worst case scenarios and all that kind of crap. So nobody's going to tell me nothing about nothing here. But you get to a point where you say, I wonder if this will work. Well, you've got enough background behind you to try it and look for where the problems could occur in it, because you have a good solid foundation of an understanding of the market itself, because you've taken these little baby steps that you might not know the questions to ask, but you can spot the problems that you can form a question around. And that's the key to staging the trading into your life, is you don't have the questions. You don't know what you don't know. And so if you don't stage in and you get in the middle of the shit, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to get out of it. And worse, you don't know why you got into it. And so, sit down at your desk and start from some base level of ability as you see it, from whatever your experience level is. What's that base level of ability that you'd like to be able to do? Just to be able to look at a chart and determine whether the price is going to go up or whether it's going to go down. Don't even try to trade. Just make that determination. It's like Jose Capablanca, the great chess master, in his book Last Lectures that I've mentioned many, many, many times. Most people who teach chess put all the pieces on the board, tell you what all their values are, show you how the pieces move by teaching opening theory, and away you go. But not Capablanca. He takes all the pieces off the board. He starts with each king and a couple of pawns and a bishop each. And he says, this is what you're trying to do. You're trying to box the other king into a corner and checkmate him. Because that's what chess is all about. Checkmate the king. Then he pulled the bishop off, put knights on. Shows you how to get the knights maneuvering. So he's teaching you the value of the pieces, he's teaching you the movement of the pieces, but underlying all that, why are these pieces moving? They're moving to checkmate the king. So once you set up all the pieces, you know exactly what you're trying to do. And so opening theory then makes sense to you because you understand what you're trying to do. You're understanding the difference between a queen's pawn defense and a king's Indian defense, for example. As you move through this reanalysis of your trading, starting over, look at it the same way you would look at staging lots into a position. Look at staging information into your knowledge base for your trading. And don't put a piece of information in there if it's not directly relevant to the whatever base level that you're at. And I think you'll find that you'll be much more successful and have a much better appreciation for the complexity and the challenge of the Forex market, instead of just beating yourself up every time you lose 20 pips. There's no point in beating yourself up over losses, no matter how stupid you were, as long as you understand why that happened. And, you know, a lot of the errors that we make as traders, we repeat those errors. We can't help ourselves because they're habits, or they're like the issues that I have, trying to get away from the methodologies that I was so successful with in 40 years of real estate investment, are not directly applicable down into the currency market. They're applicable, but with different timing, with a different when, and I'm struggling with that even today, because it's ingrained. It's a it's a fear response when you're dealing with money, and sometimes the more fearful you become, the more money you lose, because you get emotionally locked in or committed to whatever it is that you're doing, and that becomes a problem. So as you're going through this staging in of information, you have to look at that and say, will the addition of this technique or this information complicate my current system? System being whatever it is that you're doing at that particular time, the combination of all the things that you're taking into consideration. Will that next thing complicate that system, or will that next thing that you're going to add to it create confusion or complication? If it causes complication, why? Well, once you figure that out, you'll understand when that might be applicable for you to put in, because you have a good solid base. So you say, well, I can't use this stuff right now, but I can use it later. Put it into toolbox, and when you get there, you'll be ready for it then. But you may not be ready for it now. look, you have to be realistic with yourself as to what your capabilities are at any stage in your trading life journey. Just because you're a millionaire on a real estate investment like me doesn't mean you know jack shit about trading currencies. You have to learn it all over again, you know? The skills the life skills that you have, that you're good at, you can bring to bear to your currency trading, but you'll find that they don't translate directly. They translate, but not directly. You know, if you're, like I took several years of classical guitar lessons with a classical guitarist that was probably one of the top 100 in the country. And I was, committed to karate at the same time, martial arts, and he was trying to teach me to be a concert classical guitarist. Well, I wasn't interested in that. I just wanted to play some tunes. And so I had to say, I'm just going to play guitar for fun. Thank you very much for a couple of years you're teaching, but I can't have these two crazy passions in my life because I have no time. I mean, I was doing martial arts. I was running a martial arts school, my own school. That way, I was running some real estate, and I'm trying to practice classical guitar for 4 hours a day. And I was also studying chess and playing chess 3 hours a day. So I mean, come on, you just have so much time in the day to be doing this stuff. So then I said, well, I would really like to do music, but I'm corrupted now with the guitar. It has to be done this way. If I was playing 4 hours a day, I'd play 4 hours of technical exercise and scales, and maybe, if I was playing 4 hours a day, I'd play 3 or 3.5 hours of scales and technical exercises, maybe a half hour of actual music. And I just wanted to play music, and I couldn't do that on the guitar. So I took up piano and just learned how to play, what is that, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and Happy Birthday and shit like that, and got to playing on the piano and really could use the discipline and the music theory and stuff that I had learned in guitar to apply to the piano, but I had to change it just a little bit because it wasn't directly transferable. So it's the same thing in anything that you do. My son grew up, we were fortunate, we grew up on the water, and he had boats since he was like 8 years old, and tearing engines apart and all that kind of stuff, and decided that he wanted to be a marine mechanic. And we said, I don't think you want to be crawling around outside in the snow dropping boat transmissions in January in New England. So why don't you look at automotive mechanics? And so he was interested in that because it's broken, we got to fix it. That's what he does. And so he went to 2 years associate's program to get his degree in automotive technology, and then went to work in a shop and started out changing oil and cleaning carburetors and tightening brakes up and just really stuff like that. But he had replaced transmissions and all this other kind of stuff in the boat world and also when he was going to school. But when he started out, this is where you start out, and you work your way through, and you start taking courses, at-home courses. Those guys that are mechanics, they work really hard. They come home every night and they have to take online classes. And you have to take so many hours of them all the time. And they're all fundamentals based, building and building and building. They're staging their information into their career. Why would we think that it would be any different in currency trading? And yet you have these fools out there telling you that they're going to teach you how to trade, and they don't know shit. You have to be very, very, very careful. Rely on your own intelligence and desire to succeed, and your own life experiences and how you've built your life to where it is. Now, your life may not be where you would like it to be, but you know what you would need to do in order to change that. You may not have the capability to do that right now, but at least you know what to look for so that when opportunities present themselves, you'll be able to take advantage of those and make your life better. And trading and learning trading, and we're all learning, doesn't matter how advanced you are, you're constantly learning because the markets change, and so you've got to change with them, right? And so as you're working through in your trading journey, don't just think you're going to read 4 books and start trading. It doesn't work that way. You have to be passionate about the trading. You have to be interested in the trading, not the money. It has to be an interesting puzzle for you to solve, or you're not going to be able to figure out how all the pieces go together. And that's why I think, you know, I'm not pitching myself as a consultant or a mentor because I don't have time to deal with 20 or 30 people taking an hour or 2 hours of my day, regardless of what price I would charge. And I charge a lot of money, but it's still not enough. It would never be enough for me to do that, because I think my life and living that life and appreciating the nature around me is far more important than me being on video calls all day long, helping people that probably are not going to listen to what I say anyway, and are just going to bitch. And so if that's you, don't contact me. Just, that's why I do these videos, so you don't contact me. And, you know, look, I know what I'm doing. So if you can take my advice from these videos and apply it and get better, boom, that's great. You don't need me for consulting. You don't need to take my course. You don't need to read my books. It's okay. I have fun writing. That's why I wrote the books. I didn't write the books to sell courses. I wrote the books for myself. Okay? So you have to have that same kind of attitude. You have to, you know, it's a lot of fun. Trading's a lot of fun. You're in a game with some of the smartest people in the world, and they're all out to cut your throat. How much more fun could that be? To compete. Well, as I've said in other videos, you're not competing with the large institutional traders, because they're trading for different purposes in different ways. You just have to be aware of what the retail market is all about, and how the retail market coexists with the institutional market, other than just providing liquidity for the big boys to chew up. Sit down and write on a piece of paper how you're going to stage all of the information that's out there. And that's going to cause you to filter through that and try to find out what those key pieces of information are that have to do with trading and learning trading. You're going to order that information into some kind of chronological sequence that would make sense to you. And then you have to figure out, well, can I thin that down at all? Can I apply a rule to this particular thing? If you can't apply a rule to it, then it really isn't a solid node, what we call a node, a primary concept. And just work your way through. You could solve the whole problem without being a good trader, without knowing how to trade. You could solve that problem. Dry lab it. Because you're a good person. You're interested in this stuff. You should be able to figure it out. You could lay the outline out. Then you could go into some of the books or watch these videos and make sense and see how other people have put these pieces together. Maybe you're going to take one piece that you learned and invert it with another piece that you had that you thought was important. You develop a set of rules, listen to what other people are saying about how they're developing rules to solve the problems that each one of these nodes of expertise that you need to have could fix. You can do that. I mean, it might take you longer, and you might not be successful. You may not have that ability. You may not have that analytical ability to do that. But you certainly have the ability to follow what someone else says. And so I think that's why these videos that I do are helpful, because I'm not sitting there with a chart showing you, well, this is an engulfing candle pattern, and so this is what you would do at this particular time, because all that is horseshit. because that engulfing candle pattern down here means one thing, but the engulfing candle pattern up here means something totally different. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. So if you don't understand the principles of order flow and price action as it matches order flow, you're not going to understand what those candles are doing. Even if somebody says, oh, this engulfing pattern means that such and such happened. Yeah, but it has to be taken into context with everything else. So you have all this information. How do you reduce that information to nodes, to key core concepts? Can you change those concepts into principles? That's what I do in my course. The first one is the foundations. It builds the foundations of the thing. And the next course is called principles. So how do you apply the principles? In other words, that's the how of it. The first course, foundations, is what is it that you need to know, and a little bit of how and a little bit of when. The second course, principles, is a little bit of the foundations, the what, but it's all about the how and a little bit about the when. The process-oriented training course takes a little bit of the foundations and a little bit of the how, and it shows you when to apply that stuff. And then it goes on to showing specific problem solution and resolution. You don't need my course. You can do that on your own. If you take the steps slowly and incrementally and build them up, because that's all I did. Now, if you don't have the ability to do that, if that's not your skill, maybe you're a pianist well, you'd have to have some visualization in order to be a pianist. You need to be able to visualize things in order to be a currency trader. You know, I think an auto mechanic or a carpenter, for example, would be a great currency trader because they're visualizing a problem and what the solution to that is. They're going through multiple solutions to that problem in their head before they actually go and try it. Some people don't have that visualization skill, and so you shouldn't do currency trading. In my martial arts coursework, we present a course. It's an external course that you take that's all about visualization. So if you don't have visualization skills, it helps you to build those skills. It helps you to build those visualization skills. So the fact that you may not have them doesn't mean that you can't get them. You just have to recognize that you're not a visual learner, and you need to go out and figure out what the visual world looks like and see if you can do that. Because then I think the currency trading will be a lot easier for you, you know, to break these things down into their component principles, you know, that you can then develop a process around in order to be a successful trader. And all of that is staging the trading into your life. Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. Have a great day and have a great trading day.